beware this game-breaking Xbox bug. I got bad news for fans of Halo. Now is the time to buy a Series X. And let's break down Xbox's latest Game Pass trailer. Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that is dedicated to all things Xbox. I'm up here 3 times a week talking the latest Xbox news, talking about Xbox games, talking about Xbox accessories. I'm like, I don't want to say the king of Xbox because I feel like that'd be pretentious, but I'm always talking about Xbox. I'm really excited today because I just discovered this dynamic background, the Power Your Dreams dynamic background, and I gotta say, this is the coolest dynamic background that Xbox has put out in a very long time. They had a string of really lame ones. The Motorsport one, lame. Starfield one, lame. Well, I mean, the Starfield one, it was just like the poster, right? But there was nothing dynamic about it. This one, it's like a cool background. I highly recommend that you check it out on your own Xbox console. If you want, go on over to your settings, go to personalizations, go to backgrounds, click dynamic background, and search for the Power Your Dreams one. You just got an Xbox tip right off the bat. But let's talk about an Xbox problem. Now, as you probably heard at this point, most likely from me, Game of the Year Baldur's Gate 3 is finally on Xbox consoles. It was shadow dropped at the Game Awards, and it was really weird because they didn't mention that it was on the Xbox Store, Xbox consoles, Microsoft Store, none of that. They were like, look at this physical editions that we already knew about, but they had no mention of like, go and play the game on Xbox right now. But despite the confusion, yes, it is available on Xbox, and fans of RPGs and people who've been really wanting to play this game rejoiced until people started finding out that there was this game-breaking bug going on with their save files. People reporting that they were playing 8, 10, 12 hours, and then all of a sudden their saves were deleted. There was a lot of speculation going on as to why that was happening, but some people, no matter what they did troubleshooting-wise, were still having that issue. They couldn't recover their save files. Overall, a pretty devastating thing to happen to you, for sure. When you're playing a game, especially a game you're really excited for, that's just not something you want to see. People were speculating that maybe this was an issue tied to Xbox Cloud backup system. Like whenever you're internally saving your data to your Xbox console and then it gets copied to the Xbox Cloud, which is pretty clutch, honestly, most of the time. But I guess sometimes there are complications with it in trying to duplicate that data, and then it just freaks out, and in this case, deletes your file. People apparently were experiencing that issue with other Xbox games like Starfield. Like if there was a big, meaty save file that sometimes it would freak out and just delete itself as it was trying to back itself up to the cloud. There's also another wrinkle in this because Larian Studios also has a cloud gaming system, which enables their players who maybe played on other platforms to switch their progress to another platform. So me, I played on Steam when it first came out. I could take all of my data and transfer it to Xbox thanks to that system. Again, this is a pretty devastating bug, and I don't care how good your game is. I don't care if it won Game of the Year. If that's something that I'm experiencing, that is a major turnoff. And on top of that, I'm sure there are some individuals who are looking at people having this problem and saying, maybe I should wait to buy Baldur's Gate 3 until they figure it out. And if you fall into that camp of people, you're like, man, I really want to try this game, but I don't want to waste 12, 14, 15 hours of my life only for it to be deleted. I have some encouraging news for you because Larian Studios has responded to the issue, and as of Monday, December 11th, Xbox is pushing out an update that will help address the issue. Here's what Larian recommends. On Twitter, they said, we're aware of saves disappearing after a crash. An update is available from Xbox to help with some of these issues. The update itself is a pretty sizable one. It's 18 gigs, but it should offer you a more stable experience while playing Baldur's Gate 3 on your Xbox console. But guys, even though they might have fixed the issue of saves randomly being deleted, here's a tip from someone who spent a lot of time playing Baldur's Gate 3. Save often. They do have an autosave feature, but sometimes it's few and far between. It only happens before major events. So it's entirely possible that you can go through 8-10 hours of side quests, something crazy like that, or a really tough combat situation, and then all of a sudden you die and you got to do all that over again. So I'm begging you, please save as often as you can. They even have a quick save feature. Definitely abuse that. Another thing I will say about Baldur's Gate 3 is just let it ride. right, man. A lot of the times I would go back to a certain save in order to play the scenario again and get the outcome that I wanted. I think this game shines the most when you just don't know what's going to happen next. No metagaming, no save scumming. Try to avoid it as much as possible. Because much like life itself, real life, the unexpected stuff is often the most fun. Next up, let's talk some disappointing news revolving Halo Infinite's single-player campaign. Now, I don't know how many of you have played the campaign since it came out back in 2021. Overall, I thought it was like, okay, there were some moments that I thought were really fun, some mechanics I thought were really cool, but I had a lot of questions about the campaign. There's no cutscenes. The story is told through holograms. A lot of the stuff that I was interested in seeing happened off screen or in between games. And then at the end of it, I was like, okay, there's a lot of potential for them to continue the story of this campaign. There's a new nemesis that pops up at the end of Infinite that I won't spoil it for you, but there's like a new enemy, a new type of enemy. The Banished are still running amok on Zeta Halo. And the game ends with, oh, what's the weapon's new name gonna be? What's Master Chief gonna name his new friend, New Cortana? And then boom, it cuts to black. So I thought, oh, this is perfect. They're gonna do DLC, they'll have new locations, new events and stuff because it's a huge open world. They have a lot to play with the story. And 2 years later, we don't have any of that. There have been a couple of reports coming out saying that 343 never planned to update the single player campaign at all. And while we've been getting a ton of content with Halo Infinite's multiplayer, 343 has confirmed with the Kind of Funny crew that they don't have anything in active development for the single-player campaign, and that's a decision that they made over a year ago. Brian Gerard had this to say on the subject. I'll be honest, we have nothing to announce today regarding any campaign content for Infinite. I'll even go a step further and tell you that right now there is nothing in active development on that front. We made the decision just over a year ago to really double down on improving the multiplayer content. Now, when he puts it in that context, like, oh, our team is focusing on building up the multiplayer, that makes a lot of sense. But I can't help but feel that they missed an opportunity with Infinite's campaign. So yeah, we're not getting new single-player campaign for Halo Infinite, but the future is bright, guys. There's a lot to look forward to as Halo fans. As a reminder, Certain Affinity did confirm that they're working on a new Halo game in Unreal Engine 5. So maybe 343 saw that and were like, okay, what's the point of continuing Halo Infinite storyline when there's a new game in the pipeline? And also as a reminder, there's still a Battle Royale mode being worked on by Certain Affinity as well. And most important of all, Halo Infinite is fun again. I will die on this hill. I don't care what y'all say in the comments. I have been having a blast. I already worked my way through the Combined Arms Battle Pass, and I'm like halfway through, a little bit more so, through the Season 5 Battle Pass, Reckoning. The maps are fun. The game modes are fun. I'm having fun with my friends on this game again. I got the boys back together again. And it's not just me. According to recent data that we saw at the end of November, Halo Infinite multiplayer is the #1 played game on Xbox right now. I don't know if that's changed over the past couple of weeks, but that's still an amazing turnaround from what we saw last year at launch when people were like, oh, this game sucks, there's no content, there's a bunch of server issues, there's desync issues. Overall, I'm very happy with the state of Halo right now. One of the best ways to experience Halo Infinite's multiplayer, and by extension the new Firefight mode that they just dropped, is on an Xbox Series X. And guys, now might be the perfect time to buy a Series X. Whether you're rocking with an Xbox One, whether you have PS5 or some other console. Because I've been seeing some crazy markdowns, some crazy discounts for the Series X and the S. And I'm always kind of hesitant to talk about them because it always seems like, oh, man, I just found this crazy deal. And then I post a video and it's gone, it's sold out, it's regular price, and then I just look like a dummy. So I've been seeing this markdown for the Series X on Amazon and Walmart. It's being discounted all the way to $350, literally the same price as a frickin' Black Series S. And I'm like, dang, that's a pretty good deal. But when I clicked on it, it was no longer $350, it was $400. I mean, still a $100 discount. That's pretty damn good. But y'all, I would encourage you to keep your eyes out for deals like this because, I mean, we've seen it go as low as $350. I'm sure they're going to have discounts going well into the new year. So if you've been wanting to buy an Xbox Series console, if you've been wanting to upgrade, now would probably be the perfect time. And guys, you're going to want to upgrade pretty soon because we're getting to that halfway point in the generation, okay? It's going to be 4 years into this console's life cycle. And we're starting to see a lot of games leave the old generation behind and be Series X and S exclusive. So if you want to get ready for the next wave of games, if you want to get ready for GTA 6 in 2025, you might as well pick up one of these consoles at a discount. Speaking of games that are coming to your Xbox console in the future, let's go ahead and break down that Game Pass trailer that we saw at the Game Awards. Now, this is something I did last year, but I did a whole video about it and people seem to like it. Someone even went so far as to say like, Ray, thanks so much for looking out for the Xbox community. It was very sweet. We actually got a really interesting glimpse as to what was coming to the service in 2023. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to break down that trailer and I'll tell you everything that's coming. There's some things coming at the end of 2023, but there's a lot that they showed off that'll be on Game Pass in 2024. So let's break it down, because a lot of times you see these and it's like sped up, there's music, you only get glimpses of games, but if you slow it down, it has the title of each game at the bottom right corner of this trailer. So starting chronologically, Far Cry 6 is going to be added to the service in mid-December. This continues a really cool partnership between Xbox Game Pass and Ubisoft. It's always good to have these big AAA open world games. And I know a lot of people are probably tired of the Far Cry formula. Oh, go and clear out this outpost, rinse and repeat. And although I didn't think Far Cry 6 was like, revolutionary in any way, it was entertaining. There was enough wacky stuff to keep me having fun. And it's cool for anyone who used Game Pass to play Far Cry 5. Now you can play the next game with that same subscription. Next up is this game called Still Wakes the Deep. We got a glimpse of this game back at Summer Games Fest. And the best way to describe the vibe of this game is like a scary game, spooky. Okay, it's gonna scare you a little bit. At least the trailer kind of gives off that vibe. The game takes place in December of 1975. Disaster strikes and you are trapped on this oil rig in the middle of the ocean. The trailer ends with your character opening up the hatch and you're hearing like scary noises going on. Like, we don't know what's going on, but I know it's scary. I know that I personally wouldn't want to go down that hatch and deal with whatever's there. Aura History Untold was also shown off in this Game Pass trailer. This used to be a super secret project by Oxide Games, and now it has a full name. And it's a grand strategy game that is historical what if. You take control of a certain civilization and you try to guide them through the modern era. And that, of course, affects the course of history. There's another strategy game that they showed off in this trailer as well, Manor Lords. Fans of Age of Empires will probably be really into this. This is a medieval strategy game where you build a city, you run the economics of it, and you go to war with neighboring lords. I got my eye on this game, and I'm like cautiously optimistic about it. It seems like they're promising a lot, stuff that goes well beyond the bounds of a regular strategy game. According to their website, Manor Lords aims to provide a gridless, organic city building experience with full freedom of placement and rotation, but utilizing snapping tools to make planning more comfortable. The building mechanic is motivated by the growth of real medieval towns and villages, where major trade routes and landscape often influence how the settlement shaped and developed. So it seems like in other strategy games, you could just put like a bunch of farms and crap all together in one plot of land without any thought, just like you need those resources. But with this game, it seems like they're trying to aim you to be thoughtful about your city building. And I think building, I don't know why I said it like that. It seems like they're trying to make it more like a thoughtful city building organic experience. I don't know how that's going to play out when the game launches, but I'm interested. They got my attention. It seems to be like this is like a hardcore mode for most strategy games because like you got to account for like famine. You got to account for like if there's no rain involved. I don't know. Hopefully it all works out, because that all sounds really cool to me. They briefly showed off a game called Flock, which is apparently a multiplayer co-op experience about the love of flight, published by Annapurna Games. A lot of their games, like the tagline, the pitch of it, I'm like, man, that sounds lame. And then I play them, I'm like, oh, that was actually a thoughtful, moving experience. So This might turn out to be one of those as well. They also featured Little Kitty Big City in this trailer as well, and probably not going to be a game for a lot of people watching this, but I can tell you one thing. I showed the trailer to my wife and she was like, I need this. So whenever it comes out in 2024, it'll be added day one to Game Pass as well. And the game is exactly what the title says. You are a little kitty in this city, getting into all sorts of shenanigans as you try to find your way home, knocking stuff off of shelves, going around trying to like digging through the trash and hiding in boxes. You can't go wrong with a game like that. We saw it with Stray, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to play this as well, just because you're a cat. Of course, they featured Hellblade 2 in this trailer as well. We already talked extensively about that game in a couple videos ago. This is going to be a huge addition for Game Pass whenever it's added. I could see a lot of people signing up for Game Pass just to play this game. Still no firm release date. They keep talking about it, keep showing trailers about it. No firm release date, but it's sometime in 2024. 33 Immortals also made an appearance in this trailer as well. Now, I have not talked about this game since the summer when I actually got to go hands-on and preview it. This is a game that's kind of like Hades. It's a roguelite where you go through different stages and fight these very artistically satisfying bosses and enemies. But the catch is you can play with up to 33 people. The way it was pitched to us was that you are this character who is literally revolting against God and trying to get into heaven and fight him. And God obviously not too happy about that, so he's trying to stop you from doing that. So in addition to fighting these enemies, you're also going to be dealing with like cataclysmic celestial events that you're going to have to avoid before you can move on to the next stage. The one thing that was kind of concerning about this game was that the developers literally said that this game, you have to be online in order to play it. And that's not necessarily a problem for me, but that's definitely something that has made people in the community mad before. I wonder how people are going to react to it once it launches. And last but not least, we also got a reminder that Persona 3 Reload is going to be making its way onto Game Pass sometime in 2024. I loved playing Persona 5 on Game Pass, and now sadly it is not there anymore. Luckily, I did buy it because I did not finish it by the time it left. And this continued partnership that Xbox has with Atlus is awesome. After years of Persona games and Atlus games skipping over the Xbox platform, to see that their games are now being added to Game Pass is awesome as a fan. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you're sitting there and you're like, man, I cannot get enough of Xbox Ready, well, I do have an Instagram I do have an Instagram page that I'm trying to grow. It's Xbox Ready on there, and you can also give me a follow on my personal page as well if you want to keep up with my stupid life. I am State of Ray on there.